Good evening, everyone. Today is Thursday, October the 3rd, 2024. The time is now 7 o'clock p.m. We're going to call this regularly scheduled council meeting to order. Our invocation this evening will be given by Alvin PD Chaplain Lazarus Gonzalez. And the pledges tonight, Glenn, will you do our American pledge, please? Thank you. And Richard, do you mind doing the Texas pledge? Do you know the words? Okay. Please rise.
My Heavenly Father, we humbly come before you, praying your blessings on tonight's meeting. May your wisdom and guidance be in everything that is said and done. I thank you for all the men and women that dedicate time and energy serving in city government. Be with our thin blue line and first responders that daily put their lives in danger to protect and serve our community. I pray that Alvin, Texas can be a real example of Psalm 133:1 that says, "How wonderful and pleasant it is when brothers live together in harmony." I pray that the spirit of harmony not only permeate this room, but our entire community. Help us to be good neighbors, looking out for one another with kindness and compassion. And we will be careful to give you all the honor and glory in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. Okay, next we're going to do a proclamation for Texas Teachers Day. Thank you. Okay, this is a proclamation for Texas Teachers Day, and it goes like this. Whereas teachers demonstrate unwavering commitment to education by fostering a culture of learning, perseverance, and excellence, encouraging students to reach their full potential and inspiring lifelong learning. And whereas teachers go above and beyond, not only in the classroom, but within our communities as role models and mentors, providing invaluable guidance and support to all students. And whereas the teachers of Alvin, Texas dedicate their lives to shaping minds, character, and aspirations of our youth, investing time, energy, and passion into the development of our future leaders, professionals, and citizens. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Gabe Adami, as the mayor of the city of Alvin, Texas, and on behalf of the city council, do hereby proclaim October 5th, 2024 as Texas Teachers Day in the city of Alvin, and I invite all citizens to join us in expressing gratitude to Alvin teachers for their devotion, calling of education, and our students.
Ready? I'm going to take a few. Okay. Which way do you want it?
Just like to say thank you to the council for this proclamation on behalf of our teachers and our paraprofessionals that work with our kids each and every day. The time that they put in. I think parents are the first teachers, right? the most important, but then our teachers in our schools have a direct influence on our children and our communities. And great schools make great communities. And so I think Alvin ISD has produced several, some of you who are giving back to your community now, and thank you for the continued support on behalf of Alvin ISD. And to Chief over here, we work very closely with Alvin PD, and they're very supportive and work closely with us. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Renee, would you like to say anything? Ms. Rice? No? Okay.
Appreciate all the support that y'all always give us, and we know we can call on you at any time, so thank you very much.
Thank you all. Well, I, for one, am a proud alum of Alvin High School and Alvin Independent School District, so thank you for all that you do. And I've got children in the district, and they have a great time, and they're well taken care of, and they're learning a lot. So thank you. Thank you. Let's see, we have no public comment for this evening, and we do have a public hearing. The public hearing is to receive comment on the proposed annexation of approximately 168.36 acres located near the intersection of State Highway 288 and F-1462 in Missouri County, Texas. So at this time, at 7:07 p.m., we will open the public hearing for comments. So if there's anybody in the crowd who would like to come forward and speak, now is your time. Again, this public hearing is to receive comment on the proposed annexation of approximately 168 acres near the intersection of Highway 288 and 1462. If you would like to come forward and say a few things, now's your time. Seeing no one come forward, we will close the public hearing at 7:08 p.m. Next, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Starting with you, Councilman Garavay, is there anything you'd like to remove from the consent agenda?
No, Mayor. No, Mayor.
No, Mayor. No, sir.
I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, move to approve consent agenda.
Second.
All right, please vote.
Motion passes unanimously. Items approved on the consent agenda are the minutes from September 19th City Council meeting. Item B, Resolution 24R27, nominating a candidate for the position on the Board of Directors for Missouri County Appraisal District. Item C, call a public hearing to consider the readoption of the economic development policy for the City of Alvin, including criteria and guidelines governing tax abatements, tax increment and reinvestment zones, and additional economic incentives within the city, for Thursday, October 17th at 7 p.m. in the City Council chambers of Alvin City Hall, located at 216 West Sealy in Alvin, Texas. Item D, Resolution 24R28, adopting the City of Alvin investment policy for the investment of municipal funds and setting forth other matters related thereto. Item E, consider the resignation of Dr. Jim Crum from the Animal Shelter Advisory Committee. Mayor?
Thank you, Dixie. Moving on to other business, item A, consider ordinance 24CC amending Chapter 3 of the alcoholic beverages of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Alvin, Texas, for the purpose of amending the location restrictions in Article 2, license to manufacture, sell, or distribute beer, providing for penalties, providing for publication, providing for severability, and setting forth the other provisions related thereto.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, Council. Back in March, we did a comprehensive update to our alcohol ordinance. One of the things that has come up is the location restrictions. We talked about these a lot. The churches, schools, hospitals, and residences have a 300-foot location restriction from any place that sells alcoholic beverages. There is a exception within our ordinance that allows for a public school or allows for a restaurant or a place that sells alcoholic beverages with a restaurant permit, so a restaurant, to be located within 300 feet of a private school. What this ordinance does is increase that or expand the exceptions to allow for restaurants to be located within 300 feet of churches and public hospitals as well.
I noticed it doesn't say residents on this one.
Correct. Because we're not adding residents to an exception. So right now, you can't have any kind of alcohol sales within 300 feet of a residence. So this isn't adding those to,
Why would you leave that one out?
well, number,
I was saying a restaurant can do it, they can't do it, a restaurant can't come in within 300 feet of a residence, period.
right. Based upon, yes, it's gonna stay that way.
Right.
And that's, the thought is keeping it that way based upon the conversations we all had back in March. So this would, allow for a restaurant to open up within 300 feet of a church or a public school. I mean, a church or a public hospital.
By definition, what is a restaurant?
It actually is defined already, in our ordinance. I don't have it right now, but it's basically the food and beverage certificate. So, and that is the MB license, I think, but the food and beverage certificate is held by a restaurant.
Is that the 51% where you have to sell 51% food
So.
or 51% booze?
I'm gonna answer that as, that's sort of a nomenclature, as far as what that 51% stands for. The 51% actually deals with signage that's required. There are different percentage restrictions for alcohol and food. I don't think the 51% is related to that.
Okay, so we
But-
can have a beer joint that sells hamburgers. That's a restaurant, right? If they get their food license?
If they have the requisite, because the restaurant is also the, I wish I had the whole thing in front of me. A restaurant is defined as having an actual kitchen. Remember, there's all the requirements that make something not a restaurant. Like you can't serve hot dogs, you can't serve,
Or something?
yeah.
It's gotta be an actual restaurant.
Yes, it's gotta be an actual restaurant that qualifies for the food and beverage license.
Right.
Yes. And the theory behind it is when you think about location restrictions, if the and the statute provides for the exception for private schools. So if you're already allowing it for a private school to be located within 300 feet of a restaurant, then why wouldn't you allow that same exception to apply to a hospital or church?
Then a restaurant that sells liquor, alcoholic beverage, can set up next door to a hospital and church, correct? Is that what I understand?
Yes. I mean,
Or private school.
yeah, or already a private school, yeah, yes. This was, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I don't know why it's differentiating with residences, and that makes sense in the broader level, but like in our downtown area where, you know, we don't have that commercial zoning where people can put a restaurant in a house, we're saying they can't serve any alcohol if it happens to be by another
There's
house.
still the variance process. You still have a variance process in this ordinance that you
Okay.
could consider, yes.
Okay.
So, yes.
Okay, that makes sense then.
So with that being said, we have a variance process. I'm still trying to wrap my head around is why are we doing churches and public, and a public hospital?
So this came to light, and I don't remember exactly where the location was, but there was a restaurant, I think it was a restaurant considering going in somewhere on 35. And behind the property was located a church. And it came to the attention that way that doesn't necessarily seem like what we're trying to prevent. Or prevent's not the right word, but, so, I mean, you could keep it. I think the idea is when you start thinking about why you have location restrictions, it's to protect people from the people that are drinking, right? I mean, theoretically behind when these rules came into play. And so if you are already allowing a private school to have to be located near a restaurant, and you would think that a school should be more restrictive than a hospital or a church. So,
That's restrictive.
or at least as,
Yeah.
right? So, it's increasing the ability to promote different restaurants in the area.
But what this is allowing them to go in less than 300 feet from those establishments.
Correct.
I'm not understanding why that's okay.
Say your question.
I don't understand why we would want to allow it. I mean, if I don't want somebody drinking next to my school where my kids are,
So this doesn't apply to public schools. This is private schools, and the state law we already allow for for private schools. The exception already exists for private schools,
okay?
And it's a restaurant, not a.
and it's a restaurant.
So why would I want them next to my church?
That's a good question. It was just raised as far as bringing it to y'all's attention. You don't have to do it. It's just something that was brought that, to me, it seemed like a reasonable thing. If you're already allowing a restaurant near a school, a private school.
Devil's advocate here, Chris, Councilman Vaughn, my apologies. You know, you've got the Lutheran church that serves beer at Oktoberfest. You've got the Catholic church that serves beer at their festivals. So I'm not really sure how, churches are
Well, Baptist churches don't,
there's
at
4
your drinking.
Baptists, you'll find a 5th.
yeah, well, I'm
know?
sure, but I'm still. I mean, it's not a question of whether or not you can drink, it's a question of whether or not how close it is to, like, those establishments are to other establishments. And quite frankly, my feeling on the whole thing is we shouldn't allow anyone doing it, period, in here. I don't care if you're a restaurant or a beer garden. I don't think we should have anybody serving extra beer. We have enough residents or enough places where somebody can go and get a drink if they want to on stuff. Why would we want more? It just brings your community down. It downgrades everything around you when you start introducing that much more alcohol in it and making it easier for someone to put something in next to establishments that don't necessarily want those kind of businesses around them to begin with. Is, to me, that's bad.
Do you know
That's
they
bad
don't
business.
want them around them?
Have you polled any churches to see if they do?
Have you? You're the
No.
one that said they don't.
No, I haven't. But I mean, have we? Have we polled anybody to see who wants? We have not asked anybody, have we?
What's the?
And,
I'm
and
sorry?
I don't have a fear on it.
Oh.
What I would think we ought to do is if we're gonna do these kind of things, and there's so much, I mean, when you start getting into it and you can get into the religious lines and those kind of things on it, it should go to a vote. It shouldn't be something that we decide on it. I think it's something that the community should decide on whether or not they want to allow another bar to come in down the street from them, or if they want another restaurant that's serving liquor down the street from them or not.
Well, then you're allowing the citizens control for your enterprise. I mean, your citizens elected you to make these decisions.
I still, on something like this, I think it should be sent to a vote for something like this. I don't think it should be something that we decide.
I feel like it's
You already
splitting
have
hairs,
decided some of it.
because is the threat that, like, okay, if it's 301 feet away, the parishioners aren't gonna stumble? Like, I don't think the threat is real. The threat should be, I don't understand what the concern is. There could be one sitting outside of it. If you're not a person that partakes, it doesn't matter. If it's 301 foot away, it doesn't matter. If you're not a person that drinks, then you're not gonna drink.
Majority of churches are open on Sundays
Right.
So-
and Wednesday nights.
Oh, okay. So, devil's advocate again, so the guys going to the AA meetings at the church, when they leave, have to drive past the bars when they leave. I mean, if they can't go out a way that doesn't have it there, hey, I need to stop in there and grab a bite to eat, and let's grab a drink while I'm here. I mean, and that's just out there. I mean, it's just, I don't see why we need to change what we got. What's wrong with what we have?
What if an alcoholic walks into the bar and sees a church and decides he wants to get saved?
That'd be great.
Exactly. So you can do what if situations all day
I know,
long.
but I don't
But-
see why we're wanting to change it.
Free
I don't see a
market,
reason.
free enterprise.
Free market.
Allow
I
people
think
to do what
you're-
they want to do.
I think you're getting on a slippery slope on everything. What benefit does this come to our community?
Sales tax.
Tax base.
Really? So
We have
one
no commercial
restaurant will
tax
bring in
base.
that much?
It's not one.
How many restaurants are on this?
It's opening our doors to businesses coming into Alvin and say, hey, Alvin's open for business.
So how many other cities
'Cause-
have ordinances with less than 300 feet?
I don't know the answer.
No idea.
So then why
I'm
would
not-
we?
I'm not worried about other cities. I'm worried about our city.
Well, that's what we changed
Because
the last
the main
ordinance for.
concern that I hear from everybody is our streets suck, our facilities suck, our, tax bases, our tax rate's too high. What people don't understand is we have no commercial tax base here compared to our
We don't.
other cities, like you say. The only way to fix these issues in a quicker manner is to raise more tax money, but we want to reduce the tax rate, give our employees raises, our PD better stuff, our facilities a facelift, but we don't want to raise our tax rate to $1 for every $100 of appraised value. We want to reduce our tax rate. And the only way we can do that right now, the situation we're in, is bring in commercial tax base. And food, restaurants, you don't want to say it, but alcohol sales bring in a lot of tax base. It's proven everywhere around here. And
The less restrictive we can be to allow businesses to open up, to allow small businesses to open up, is better for the city. And this is just
Okay.
another way.
Grow, but I don't agree that we need to grow by making an exception where you can establish right next door to a church or a public hospital. I just don't see it.
not necessarily right next door, it's 300 feet, and
Well, no, we're talking about less than 300 feet from them. What's wrong with 300 feet? That's not that far.
And at any of your large churches already, the parking lots are greater than 300 feet. Your hospitals have to put in so much parking spaces. They're greater than 300 feet. So it's kind of like,
The hospital
Outside of
anyway.
it regardless. And this is, to me, it's asinine to just go through
You
and
point-
change
I
it
mean,
again.
I wouldn't want to land a life light right next to a bar, but then I do see your point. I do agree with your point and everything, and I do understand that. But there's a reason. If we don't have zoning here and we have a hodgepodge of everything.
But it's
not a
still
bar. It's not a bar.
alcoholic
No, it's a
beverages.
restaurant. I'm talking
It's
about
a
restaurant.
restaurant.
It's a
Restaurant.
restaurant.
Can also serve alcohol, yep.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be a little bit 300 feet away from my helipad.
From a helipad?
Yeah.
All right,
I'm saying it's got public
let's put
hospital.
it to the vote. Vote.
Mayor,
Yeah.
move to approve ordinance 24CC, amending Chapter 3 alcoholic beverages of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Alvin, Texas, for the purpose of amending the location restrictions of Article 2, license to manufacture, sell, or distribute beer, providing for penalties, providing for publication, providing for severability, and setting forth other provisions related thereto.
Second.
Please vote.
Mayor, tiebreaker is required. Motion passes with Councilmember Ravella, Vaughn, and Starkey voting no.
Thank you, gentlemen. Good discussion, and I do appreciate it. Item B is consider resolution 24R29 revising the athletic facilities policies for the use of parks and recreation facilities, establishing an effective date and setting forth other matters related thereto.
All right. Thank you, Mayor, Council. So tonight, we're asking your approval for our athletic facilities policy. This is a document that guides the relationship between the city and Alvin Sport Associations. This is a relatively routine ask. This document is periodically reviewed anyway. In this case, we've styled it to be reviewed annually, and we ask that the organizations that wish to seek Alvin Sport Association recognition that they make those applications yearly. So we're asking you to make a couple of changes to this document. Park Board, we had a joint meeting with Alvin Sport Associations, the current Alvin Sport Associations and Park Board in the August meeting, and with that, the proposed changes were brought forward, and everyone was on board with that. And we were looking at granting access to Musco athletic lighting control on a per-season basis rather than an annual basis. That helps us understand the usage and allows us to understand the scheduling that's happening so we can accommodate our residents that may want to use that or other associations that are not athletic Alvin Sport Associations. And then we added a new section for athletic field lighting credit, and that is an effort to compensate the Alvin Sport Associations for their contribution to improving our athletic sports, like athletic sport parks like Lyons, Pearson, Morgan, and Briscoe. So with that, we ask for your approval for that tonight, and I'm happy to handle any questions.
Dan, there's It says the park board recommended and unanimously approved the changes, but what about the Alvin Sports Associations? Were they all on board and unanimously approve everything as well? So
Yes, sir.
Everybody's on board?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, there was a
thanks.
great discussion. It was led by Michelle Necestra that evening. I was at a workshop, spent that evening with you guys, actually. But Michelle handled that meeting, and everyone was on board, and everybody seemed relatively happy. And I will tell you that there was the athletics sport associations were excited about the new section. Because again, they do put in sweat equity in those fields, and that's outlined in the document, and they appreciated the recognition, or I should say the cost abatement on that lighting. So
Good deal. Any other questions? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, move to approve Resolution 24R29, revising the athletic facilities policy for the use of parks and recreational facilities, establishing an effective date, and setting forth other matters related thereto.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
all right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan. Okay, lastly, consider if any requests from individual council members for any item or items to be placed on the upcoming agenda for the next regularly scheduled meeting. Anybody have anything they would like to add to the next meeting or have a request for workshops? No?
No, Mayor.
Okay, very good. Then we'll move on to reports from the city manager.
Yes, Mayor and Council, on Tuesday, this Tuesday, actually, October 8th at 6 p.m., we have a joint workshop with the City Council and Planning Commission to discuss the update to the Comprehensive Master Plan. This meeting will be held at the Fire EMS station at 6 p.m. On Thursday, October 17th, which is our next regularly scheduled council meeting, we do have a 6 p.m. workshop where we will be discussing the 100-foot strip, accessory dwelling units, and revising the permitting process for generators. And then at the end of the month, Thursday, October 31st, from 6:30 to 8:30 will be the trick-or-treat trail at National Oak Park. And lastly, the last day to register to vote for the November 5th election is Monday, October 7th. Early voting begins Monday, October 21st through Friday, November 1st. The polling location will be at the Alvin Library. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to items of community interest. Announcements concerning items of community interest from council. Starkey? No? Castro?
No, sir.
No?
No, sir.
Nope.
Vaughn? No? Vela? Anything? No?
City staff, I want to thank the city staff and as well as our first responders, police, fire, and EMS. They did an amazing job during National Night Out, out there, getting out there with the residents, and especially the hosts that, all their parties, that was a lot of parties, especially District A. That was a lot of parties.
You hit a lot of them, Martin.
I did. I hit a lot of them.
Hit
A lot
the
of
town.
practice.
Yeah.
We'll discuss that later.
Well, I wish I could have been there. But I want to say thanks for all that had prayed for my mother. She was finally released from the Methodist Hospital after being in the hospital since August 10th. So I was with her getting transferred over to a long-term rehab facility. So glad to see everything went well. But I'm sorry to miss the National Night Out.
Yep.
No, very good. Okay. Well, then next we're going to adjourn into executive session under Section 551074 of the Local Government Code. Deliberation on the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee. We'll be discussing the Associate Municipal Court Judge. So at this time, it's 7:30 p.m. We will adjourn into executive session. Okay, we are going to reconvene at 7:44 PM from executive session. Is there any action to be taken? No? We're going to accept the nomination or accept it?
Was he, did he have it?
Mayor, move to approve, there you go.
Appointment of Pat Monks as the Associate Municipal Judge for the city,
And authorize the city manager?
and authorize the city manager to sign a contract.
Very good. Do we have a second?
Second.
Very good. Can we vote?
It's fine. We'll make it work.
Where's Glenn?
I work
A vote.
magic. Motion passes unanimously.
Ooh, that was close. All right. We're adjourned. 45.